White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt is leaving the job, Brian. I know you're sad.
I am.
You look like you're about to cry.
Yeah.
It has kicked off a fierce competition to replace her. There's lots of jockeying in the media. We're going to walk through some of the leading candidates to replace her, who is up, who's down seemingly compared to the base of the press reporting, and, just tell you all about it. So here's the first contestant in this little White House beauty pageant. Let's watch.
We all know that Scott Jennings is more than happy to defend a war with a country that starts with the letters IRA that we are currently failing, that is going to put us trillions and trillions of dollars more in debt. I was only a few years old while you were in the administration defending prior endless wars. Now this war is failing.
8 weeks is endless to you?
Okay, you said it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks.
You have the attention span of a gnat?
Homie, I debated you on TV 4 to 6 weeks ago, and you said we were weeks away from it. Now you're making condescending remarks because you can't defend the fact that this war is not going your way. Wait, one more time.
Not going your way.
Name one political concession. Name one political concession.
Whoa,
Honestly.
That was CNN commentator Scott Jennings yelling at Adam Mockler, 24-year-old YouTuber.
24-year-old kid. Yep, shows that he has the temperament to really take on the press.
So Jennings worked for George W. Bush, both on his campaign and in the White House. He's a longtime advisor to Senator Mitch McConnell. These days, he's best known for being the MAGA chud on various CNN panels. Brian, Jennings has reportedly created a lot of buzz in the White House because of his spirited defense of Donald Trump and his aide, Natalie Harp. There's this controversy after something Jon Ossoff said about her that we're going to cover later in the show. Do you think he'd be good at the job? What do you think about Jennings at the podium?
Look, what Trump is looking for is an abject sycophant, somebody who will defend Donald Trump no matter what. And that's exactly what Scott Jennings will do. Like, he has allowed Donald Trump to shove his hand so far up his ass that he just dictates whatever Scott Jennings does and says, like his little puppet, and he has no shame about doing it. That's why he can go on TV and, regardless of what it is, defend anything so long as it came out of Trump's mouth. I mean, this is what an audition looks like, and those are the people who Trump hires. He's not going to hire people because they're competent. RFK is not in that role because he's competent. Pete Hegseth is not in that role because he's competent.
It's a meritocracy. It's a meritocracy.
For the end of the DEI era, we sure do have a lot of really inept and unqualified people in their positions right now.
Yeah, so, I mean, you guys might be like, why are you guys talking about this clown? CNN says that Jennings has emerged as an early favorite to replace Leavitt at the White House podium, but the process is just beginning. They said that Susie Wiles, the White House chief of staff, recently met with Scott Jennings. They went to Mastro's Steakhouse in D.C. Someone quoted in the story said, he's competent and good on TV. One senior White House official said of Wiles. Wiles had shown interest in Jennings. And then Wiles apparently is looking for a grown-up. Apparently grown-ups are people who scream at 23-year-olds on television, who understands how the job works. It can maintain a level of professionalism as the face of the administration. Didn't seem like the most professional
Didn't seem
moment.
like, but you know what? I just want to remind everybody that it is important that we don't have women in positions of power because they would be far too emotional for the job.
Yeah, Scott Jennings, very emotional. If I were like in the White House right now, in normal times, there's kind of like two parts of the job. There's the on-camera stuff you see at the White House podium. And in the olden days, you wanted someone who could go up there, kind of make an argument, speak confidently about what the administration was doing, and mostly like not make mistakes. Like that was the biggest part of it, not the scrub. As you said earlier, Trump wants a fighter.
Yeah.
He just wants you to browbeat the shit out of whatever journalist is bothering him. So I would usually think like Jennings is too much of a hothead, but like, I don't know, maybe in like Trump adjusted terms, he's not a hothead anymore.
No, I think he's exactly what they would be looking for. You need someone without shame.
Stephen Miller.
Look, that's why Sarah Huckabee Sanders was good because, good for Trump because she had no shame about shilling for everything and anything that this administration was willing to do. Caroline Leavitt is in the same boat. You can't show weakness. That's why when we saw a little bit of Sean Spicer going back and forth and hemming and hawing when he got piled on for his lies, he wasn't going to be able to hack it. But if you can find somebody for whom shame does not exist, and I would absolutely categorize Scott Jennings as part of that group,
no doubt,
then that's what Trump is looking for.
Yeah, normally I'd say integrity matters, trust, honesty,
Tommy.
not in this White House.
Our sweet, sweet summer child.
Not in this White House. The thing about this job, though, is there's the on-camera stuff, then there's the off-camera portion of the job, which is really the majority of your day, because the White House press secretary secretary sits in an office that reporters can just like walk into at any time. You do a lot of relationship building. You're on the road with these people all the time. You're on foreign trips. You're working on, sort of managing press access to President Trump. You're talking about messaging strategy. Again, these are all things in the olden days that I would think about a lot. And apparently Caroline Leavitt was actually really good with like the reporter relationship managing off camera. They all liked her a lot and they thought she was like, an honest broker to the extent they exist in this White House. But again, like Trump is his own communications director. He takes calls from reporters at random. He dials them himself. He makes every decision about communications and messaging strategy and is like immune to good advice. So again, normally I'd say like, does Scott Jennings seem like the good kind of behind the scenes relationship building, care and feeding guy with the press corps? Again, no, but like maybe they just will decide they don't care.
It just doesn't matter. Yeah. At this point, they're just trying to get their message out as loudly as possible. And if they have somebody in Scott Jennings who's capable of doing that, regardless of what relationships he can or can't build, if you have a megaphone for somebody and they're willing to just loudly repeat the words that Trump wants repeated, then that's the job.
Yeah. All right, let's watch some more footage of another person who is reportedly in the mix.
Candidate number two.
Somebody said to me, Alina, would you rather be smart or pretty? And I said, oh, easy, pretty. I can fake being smart.
We've forgotten how to be polite. We've forgotten how to be respectful of different opinions. And I know that President Trump will get us back there. He really will.
I hadn't actually seen that. Oh, man. I mean, look, she showed right there. Again, the same theme applies. Without shame. If you can say these things with a straight face, like that's like
Trump
I actually
brought back civility.
Yeah. I mean, like if you could say something like that with a straight face, I hadn't seen that clip. That like sent me. But like if you can pretend like you believe these things, that's what Trump is looking for. He doesn't want somebody who's going to be a good faith actor. He's just going to be looking for somebody who can regurgitate the things that make him sound good. And this is somebody who sacrificed her own law license in deference to Trump.
Yes.
And so clearly she's willing to be a lackey in the way that he wants.
For those who don't know, that was Alina Habba. She was one of Trump's lawyers. She was like his legal spokesperson on a lot of the cases, especially the E. Jean Carroll case. Her current job is apparently like senior advisor to the Attorney General for U.S. attorneys. I don't know what that means. Trump tried to make her U.S. attorney for the District of New Jersey, but that appointment was deemed unlawful. Basically, they tried to erupt the Senate confirmation process by putting her there. I wanted to put in that first. The second clip is hilarious because it's just like such obvious bullshit, like Donald Trump bringing back civility. The first clip of her saying,
do we have a new tone alert that's going to play here?
The first clip of her being like, I'd rather be pretty than smart is... It's funny, like she's obviously like kind of joking around with these guys, but it is very telling about, I think, how Donald Trump views these jobs. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. The thing he always says about people when he picks them is central casting, right?
That's it.
He wants someone who to him looks right.
Yep.
So her saying that was sort of like kind of self-aware.
100%. I mean, look. Pete Hegseth, again, is not there because he's like adept at managing an agency. He's there because he looks like a soldier.
Genius.
He's a sorry. What I meant was
he
he's a
played
strategic
Risk in high school.
Genius,
yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, continue.
I mean, like, even there's a lot of talk about Natalie Harp. And again, we're going to talk about that in a few minutes here. But Natalie Harp is the latest in a long line of young aides who Trump has surrounded himself with who are attractive. This is a recurring theme in Trump's world, that he wants people who are not adept for the positions that they're in. In fact, being incompetent is a benefit for them because if they don't have a base of knowledge, if they're malleable, then they become rubber stamps for whatever it is he wants.
Yeah. In some ways, he's not wrong about the press secretary job. Like, if they're going to choose one job where it is sort of like a central casting choice, the one where your primary job is to be on camera delivering a message is fine. It's pretty troubling when we're talking about like generals and military leaders and national security types. But yeah, we'll see. So there is one final sleeper candidate that I thought we should talk about, Brian.
And hold on, Tommy, before we get to the third candidate, the sleeper candidate that you're about to introduce, I just want to mention that for folks who haven't yet subscribed to Pod Save America's YouTube channel, completely free to subscribe, a great way to support independent media, a great way to hear more from Tommy Vitor. So we're going to put that link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. If you're not yet subscribed, make sure to subscribe.
Let's watch our final clip here.
Canada. At first I wanted it and I tried to divide it into 2 states. And then I realized we'd be adding Montana, basically, for the Republicans, and electorally like a Texas for the Democrats. And I don't like that. But the fact that they don't want us to take them over makes me want to invade. I want to quench my imperialist thirst.
That is Fox News host Jesse Waters. Brian, who better to do White House propaganda than someone who's already doing it at Fox News?
You know what? It's so interesting.
He's camera ready?
He's camera ready. I would never have considered Jesse Waters, and I think he is a little bit too goofy for the role. But then again, against what standard? Like,
can I be honest? Going to that podium with a sense of humor, a little bit of like a twinkle in your eye, like not taking yourself too seriously, could be effective. This is not a case for Jesse Waters.
It could be effective, but Trump takes himself more seriously than anybody. And so I don't know that they would be able to clash, because Jesse Waters is very like tongue in cheek, and Trump is the least self-deprecating person on earth. And so I don't know that it would jive, because I think that a lot of Jesse Waters' charm, and I say that meaning to his own audience, that's derived from the fact that he can kind of laugh at himself. Trump can't.
Yeah, Jesse says everything with a wink. They know he's in on the joke. Sometimes he's being hyperbolic and making ridiculous points like on purpose, and the audience kind of knows that. That skill set is less effective when you're talking about like a terrorist attack on the country.
Yeah. Although, look, I also don't know that Jesse Waters would be willing to walk away from what I assume is a very lucrative Fox contract.
No.
And it's not like he needs the exposure. He's already on the biggest shows on Fox News. I believe he's on 2 of the biggest shows.
Yeah, he's on the 5 and he does his show at night.
So like, it's not like being in front of the White House podium would garner him any more exposure than he already has or than he needs, but it would be a massive pay cut.
Yeah. That said, Trump has recruited a lot of employees from Fox News.
That's true.
Judge Jeanine Pirro, Hegseth, who are we missing? A bunch of them. Folks in the first term. John Bolton was like a Fox News analyst, and he's on TV all the time. I think there's no way Jesse would ever take the job if offered. I'm sort of surprised he hasn't been talked about. They're talking about Spencer Pratt, who ran for mayor here in LA for like 7 seconds.
Yeah.
I guess I never discount the ambition of these people, though.
100%. And look, on the point of Spencer Pratt, I mean, the administration, to their credit, and there is not a lot of things in the world that I'll give the Trump administration credit for, they're good at picking out people who are able to inherently, organically garner attention. And so Spencer Pratt would be ripe for them to tap into here, because they're already tapping into an audience. By the way, it's an audience not just of diehard MAGA people. Like, Spencer Pratt garnered a lot of support in West LA. I mean, granted, that's where the fires were happening, and a lot of his campaign was predicated on making sure that LA is actually prepared for the next fire. But these are not, MAGA diehards. They're
No.
if he can garner the support of Angelenos in the Pacific Palisades or West LA, then this is somebody very much in line with RFK Jr., who doesn't have the typical audience. And the Trump administration is always looking for clever, albeit pretty easy ways to expand their influence.
I mean, Trump's an LC guy. I think that going back to no, you didn't watch the show?
Watch. Oh, is this the Laguna?
The Hills?
The Hills?
Laguna Beach?
Yeah.
You didn't watch all this shit?
No,
Anyway,
dude.
okay, moving on.
I did watch Road Rules and The Real World.
And Sean Duffy, right?
That's right.
Our
big
Secretary of
Sean Duffy
Transportation.
fan.
Remember when Sean Duffy wanted to be NASA administrator? What? Why? Liberal Tears is brought to you by PDS Debt. Feel like you're working hard but still losing money every month? PDS Debt can help. They can reduce up to half of what you owe on credit cards, personal loans, and medical bills, and it starts with a free 30-second assessment at pdsdebt.com/rank. Minimum payments aren't designed to get you out of debt. They are designed to keep you stuck. PDS Debt is the way out. They can reduce up to half of what you owe on credit cards, personal loans, and medical bills. Pod Save America listeners who enroll have saved an average of $29,800, so people are actually doing something about their debt instead of just treading water. You can stop juggling multiple payments and roll them into one lower monthly payment with savings starting the day you complete the free 30-second assessment, and there's no minimum credit score required. If you're carrying a balance on your credit card, it's costing you money every single day. PDS Debt is the industry's top-rated company with thousands of 5-star reviews and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. We have all had that moment in our lives when you find yourself in debt, whether it's a huge credit card bill that came in, whether it is an overdrawn account, and your bank keeps charging you those courtesy fees over and over again, and you look at it and you think, how am I ever going to get a positive balance? How am I ever going to get yourself out of debt? PDS Debt exists for exactly that kind of moment. It can help you put together a plan to get yourself out of debt. Get your free 30-second personalized assessment today at pdsdebt.com/rank. That's pdsdebt.com/rank. Switching gears here. We're now on day 4, I think, of this endless controversy about Donald Trump, Georgia Senator Jon Ossoff, and Natalie Harp, Trump's aide. During a recent speech, Jon Ossoff said the following, Trump, quote, doesn't want to do the job. He wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie on their apparently defenseless flying palace gifted by the Emir of Qatar.
How dare you smear her good name?
Factual. So that led to this unhinged response from the White House, all these MAGA surrogates. Ossoff was asked about the reaction to his speech on MS Now Wednesday. Let's watch a clip of that.
These White House staffers are adults, public officials paid by the taxpayer with immense power in positions of public trust. And whether it's Natalie Harp printing out Donald Trump's daily dose of delusion and flattery, or Peter Navarro steering taxpayer-funded loans to Trump family investments, or Pete Hegseth deluding the president daily into deepening this quagmire in the Middle East, no one cares about their feelings. The sailors on the Lincoln are fighting his war, a war based on lies, while he plays with his new ballroom, flies around on a jet given to him by a foreign prince, and retreats into this circle of sycophantic aides who tell him every day what he wants to hear, not what he needs to hear.
So Natalie Harp is, I think, a 35-year-old White House aide who is referred to by other administration officials as the human printer. Her primary job seems to be to type out things Trump yells into the air and then tweet them, and then also print out flattering stuff about him. Brian, the original clip of Ossoff's Natalie line currently has 6.1 million views on Twitter. What percentage of those do you think are from the Trump administration flipping out about this?
I think most of them.
Yeah.
Look, this is the latest culture war, faux outrage of the day, and man, did they need it, because things are not going well. The administration has nothing to run on. They can't run on lowering costs because they didn't. They can't run on no new foreign wars because they engaged in one. They can't run on releasing the Epstein files because they're suppressing them. They can't run on lowering inflation because it's 30% higher than when Joe Biden took office. They can't run on expanding healthcare because they've gutted it. And so they're desperate for some culture war issue that they can lean on, and this is what they landed on. But the irony of this is they're now presenting themselves as these champions for women and women's rights, when this is the same political party that is led by Donald Trump, who denigrates and criticizes women on a daily basis. Just a few days ago,
including reporters who ask about this.
Yeah, including a reporter who asked about this very question. Calls reporters piggy to their faces. This is a political party that has cut women's reproductive rights, that cheered on the Supreme Court gutting Roe, that refuses to offer up federal funding for IVF. I mean, on issue after issue after issue, this party is terrible on women's rights. And so they are throwing stones from the most fragile glass house on earth. And yet they're so lacking in self-awareness that this is the hill that they've decided to die on.
Yeah, when I first read this line from Ossoff in the speech, I was like, oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
Ossoff's been really good about every week, he has his stump speech and then he'll put a topper on it, a paragraph or two about some new kind of corruption story, usually about Donald Trump. That gets clipped, it gets shared on social media. It's a great way to drive the news and get attention and talk about, sort of various attacks on Trump. In this case, though, Ossoff did something, I don't even know that they knew that they were going to do this at the time, that they'd be this successful. But Jon Ossoff ended up serving as the White House press corps' assignment editor, because all of those reporters know who Natalie Harp is.
Yeah.
They've heard the backstory. They know that she's called the human printer. They've read in Maggie Haberman's book and other reporting the crazy letter she's sent to Donald Trump. One of them said, there's a story about her in Scotland with Trump. Trump's on a golf cart driving around a golf course. She's literally sprinting behind him, and apparently wrote him the following letter. I am sorry if I was an embarrassment walking the course in Scotland. I want things to always be right between us. I also know I've been distracted all week, forgetting to eat throughout the days and even forgetting to sleep and only catching up a couple hours at a time. With all my heart, Natalie. She apparently once almost missed a motorcade. There wasn't room for her. So she jumped into the trunk of the car to travel to one of Trump's court appearances. They know this person. They think she's fucking weird. What Ossoff did was give them a news peg to all write about this person and how weird this relationship is.
I think she deserves a lot of credit because her performance in Obsession was absolutely phenomenal. So I'll say that first and foremost. Second of all, I think it's really like tantamount to political malpractice that the person you're going to start a feud with is Jon Ossoff, who is not only young, charismatic, good-looking, but his main issue is railing against Trump's corruption and doing it in a really effective way. So you're giving a spotlight to the one guy who is the best communicator that we have as far as Trump's corruption is concerned.
It's very, very stupid. And like, honestly, I think this story would have come and gone if they had just declined comment or offered some sort of sane comment. They said like Stephen Chung is like losing his mind. Every Trump surrogate, clearly like the Trump surrogates all coordinate messaging.
100%.
And they were all told like, go hard at Ossoff on this. And it's only helping him. Ossoff's running away with his Senate race. This is supposed to be one of the most at-risk seats in the 2026 cycle, and said he's going to mop the fucking floor with Doug Collins.
I mean, you're right. It is a brilliant play by Ossoff. He continues to double down, which is smart. They're giving him an even bigger platform. And he's, again, one of the best messengers that they have. And on top of all that, there's all this really weird backstory between Trump and Natalie Harp. There are all the weird comments that she continuously makes. There's the fact that Trump keeps her nearby. And frankly, the last thing I'll say on this point is that if the point that Ossoff was trying to make here was that Trump is not focused on regular people, that he's focused on the sycophants that he surrounds himself with, of which Natalie Harp is a part. By focusing so much on the backlash here, by coordinating this response where they all go so hard, if only they would show this much energy, if only they had smoke for healthcare being cut, if only they had this much smoke for the fact that we've spent $130 billion on the war in Iran, if only they had this much smoke for the Epstein files being suppressed. Like when they want to come up with a coordinated response because they're doing all this pearl clutching and virtue signaling, they could. The fact that they don't do it for issues that actually impact regular people is a testament to the fact that while they can, they just don't have any will to do so.
Possible future White House press secretary Scott Jennings was asked about the Epstein files not getting fully released on the timeline that they were required by law. And he said, don't get your knickers in a twist, I think was the quote, something like that. So that's cool. Natalie Harp didn't have a security clearance for a year. But is always by Trump's side in like every meeting. So when national security conversations come up, she'd be sitting right there. So the idea that it's like, sexist or unfair to raise these questions is absolutely bonkers. This story has broken containment from kind of the politics section of the newspaper, to the extent they exist, into this broader like cultural story. Here's one example that Brian flagged earlier today.
A special hello to those of you watching from home and from the White House. But I do have some bad news for President Petty Roosevelt. That's all I'm going to say about you tonight, sweetheart. You got to realize it's time to hang up your wig and let Natalie tuck you in.
So good.
Did he respond to that?
Not yet. It's
in the TiVo.
It is 100% coming because the two things that he hates more clearly are all of this focus on Natalie Harp, but Rosie O'Donnell in particular. I mean, if you go back to that initial debate, I think it was in 2015, hosted by Megyn Kelly, either 2015 or 2016, where she presented him with a bunch of the vile things that he said about women. She listed them off, and Trump says, only Rosie O'Donnell. He was like, I'm only talking about Rosie O'Donnell. So he hates her. And the fact that she was able to deliver this jab on Jimmy Kimmel's show, no less, is just going to absolutely infuriate him.
Paging Brendan Carr. Last thing on Natalie Harp. She says that Donald Trump saved her life because he passed the right to try law, which allows like terminally ill people to just sort of have easier access to medications. She had like a rare bone cancer, but the Washington Post reported that the treatment she used had already been approved by the FDA when Trump put in place the right to try law. So like wouldn't have had an impact. So everything about her story, like none of it really adds up. Her own brother was on TV the other day saying she seems obsessed with Trump and that had written letters to other presidents. So the whole thing's just really weird. That's all I know.
I saw Eric Trump try and use that attack line about, this is a cancer survivor. And of course, like if anybody has the opportunity to be exposed to treatment that's going to save their lives, that's great. But coming from Eric Trump, who can't even operate a charity anymore because he funneled money away from a cancer charity into his own family's personal businesses, not the best messenger for that sentiment.
Well, the Trump family is very kind to Joe Biden since he's currently battling cancer.
Absolutely.
So they pull a lot of punches there. All right, Brian, let's talk about the general political environment for Donald Trump and what it means for the midterms. There was some new polling out this week, and CNN's Harry Enton is going to help us sort of set the stage here. Let's watch.
Hispanic men. Donald Trump put up a historically strong performance for a Republican candidate for president amongst Hispanic men. But the phrase this morning for President Trump is ay caramba, because look at these shifts. I mean, Hispanic men on Trump. In 2024, he won among Hispanic men by 10 points. Look now where his net approval rating is. Down he goes into the Gulf of Mexico, minus 41 points in an average of polls this year. That is, Johnny B, by my math, a 51-point switcheroo against the President of the United States. All of that movement that you saw, that historic performance that President Trump had amongst Hispanic men, adios amigos, goodbye, see you later. As Johnny B was telling me backstage, these numbers are bonkers.
Brian, is a 51-point switcheroo bad?
I don't know. 51-point swing from red to blue?
It's a crazy swing.
It is. And the sad part for Republicans is a lot of their gerrymanders, especially in Texas, relied on this notion that the coalition they had built to win in 2024 was going to be permanent. And now we're seeing a massive realignment. So even those seats that they would have considered safe because they redrew them with maybe a little bit of wiggle room, maybe they took a few points off to gerrymander a few other seats into their own column. Well, now you've tightened those existing districts. And if we're seeing 51-point swings among the Latino electorate, which, by the way, is not just theoretical, we've actually seen that play out in off-year and special elections.
Yep.
Then that is bad news for the Republican Party.
And later in the segment, Harry said the swing is being driven by the economy and views on the economy.
Right.
So this isn't the only Latino community, but Trump went from plus 11 on the economy over Harris in 2024 to 49 points underwater with Hispanic men on the economy. So a massive swing. Hispanic men now favor Democrats by 20 points.
Yeah.
In 2024, it was Republicans plus 8.
Yeah.
So that's, that would be enormous.
30 more than 30-point swing to the left. And look, I think that it's really tragic for Republicans from their perspective, because that was a new voting bloc that they had the opportunity to deliver for. And if they could have shown that they were going to be willing for more than one cycle, if they were going to be willing to actually do what they needed to do, abide by their promises so that these could be a permanent member of their coalition, that would have been, it would be difficult for Democrats to win elections moving forward if they had lost Latinos and those became a solid block for Republicans. But they couldn't even go one cycle without abandoning them.
Trump could have just done nothing.
Yeah.
If he had just not gone to war with Iran, gas prices would be $1 lower.
100%.
If he just not put in place tariffs on every single country, prices would be way lower. Like, all the inflation problems are self-created.
Absolutely. It was his trade war that he started right away against the advice of everybody, but especially and including the Democrats who were trying to help him politically by saying, don't engage in this trade war. And yet he was so hell-bent on doing it because he wants to be a tough guy. He wants to assuage his own fragile ego. He wants to be the winner, that he did it anyway. And they continue to persist to this day. That's what's driving costs up across the country. And then, of course, as you said, we have this war in Iran, which is driving gas prices higher, driving fertilizer prices higher, driving inflation higher. It's just all of these problems are unforced errors on Trump's own part.
And so we got some new kind of Senate polling and ranking. So this is from Fox News. They've moved Michigan from lean Democrat to a toss-up. I'd quibble with that a little bit, but notable. Texas went from lean Republican to toss-up, which is obviously good for us. Kansas went from solid Republican to likely Republican. Again, good for the Democrats. So their current projected map is 47 seats for the Democrats, 47 for Republicans, and then toss-ups in Michigan, Texas, Ohio, Alaska, Iowa, and Maine. So I don't know. These are all tough seats for us. I like our chances in a lot of these states. Like Nate Silver has some, his new kind of model rankings out. this week. He's pretty bullish on Texas, far more bullish on Ohio than I expected.
Yeah.
He's less bullish on Iowa than I would have expected. I think he has Josh Turek at like 41, 42%, but it's still like a toss-up. And again, on Michigan, there was a poll out this week by Fabrizio, who's Trump's pollster, that had Abdul El-Sayed, the Democratic candidate, at 48% and Mike Rogers at 47%. So that'll be a close race.
Yeah, I mean, they're all going to be close races. And look, yes, this is a hard map, but if ever we want a hard map, this is the cycle to get one, because now we have the opportunity to be competitive in states like Ohio and Alaska and North Carolina and Iowa and Texas, where frankly Democrats have no business really competing in the way that we are right now. And so it has two benefits. One, if we can coast off of a D+10 cycle and win in some of these seats, that would be, a huge coup really for the left. And the second is that if we then have the opportunity to show some of these entrenched Republican states what democratic governance looks like, then we have the ability to hold those positions of power in very much the same way that Andy Beshear is able to do in Kentucky.
Finally, Brian, our viewers have probably heard of Nick Shirley. He's this 24-year-old independent journalist.
Intrepid reporter.
He did this video harassing a bunch of Somali-run daycare centers in Minnesota. It went super viral because Elon Musk juiced it. Now, like, the right wing loves him. Nick Shirley took a visit to Sacramento, California, in our beloved state here. Let's take a quick look at how it went.
Support service providers.
Did you guys hear that Nick Shirley has a small penis, allegedly?
Wow, that's so adult of you.
Did you hear about this? Nick Shirley
would never
allegedly has a small penis. Have you guys heard these public reports? Nick Shirley allegedly has a small penis. There's an investigation going on. If you like, there you go. Thank you so much.
I'm packing. I don't know what to say here on YouTube, but I'm doing just fine. See, you are not being hostile.
Okay. You don't get to touch my thing, sir. Items. Is it part of having an allegedly small penis that you feel the need to steal?
No.
Apparently there's an operative in Sacramento named Terry Shands who decided to just have some fun with this goober, and for that we salute you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Now that's the reporting that we're looking for.
Another great moment in independent journalism history.
That's right. Notch another win for the independent journalists.
Notch another win. Thanks for watching this episode. Please subscribe to Pod Save America here on YouTube. Subscribe to Brian Tyler Cohen's channel, and we'll talk to you soon.